visits that we're going to engage in the next couple of months. Again, we haven't officially said this is what we're going to do, because we understand it takes everybody involved to be on board to make it a successful program. I've been in government service about 32 years now, and that time has told me that when you're dealing with projects like this, it's important that you're involved with the finance director and the human resources director, because there are grants involved, and everybody needs to understand where you're at with grants. A grant for an accountability court does not cover the whole cost of an accountability court, and we know that. And so we're at the point where we really don't know everything that we will need to make this successful. But planning is, I think, the best thing for us at this point. Because at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, I want you to be proud, the citizens to be proud that we have an accountability court that is successful. And again, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. So we want to keep you apprised all the way along. We'll be working hopefully with staff, and I've already reached out to our finance director, and we've spoken about it. We've spoken with the sheriff again, and we've spoken with the district attorney, and we'll continue to move forward.
If I understand correctly, grants are available, but they do run out. So what I want all of us to know is that we want it to be sustainable. So if we get in it and we accept grant money, then we don't want it to fail. I heard Judge Michael Boggs speak. He's a appellate court judge, and I think he's slated to be at our June public safety Chamber of Commerce luncheon. And he can explain it much better than me, but traditional ways that we've incarcerated people are not working, and he'll give you all the statistics to tell you why it doesn't work. We lock them up, and the gentleman in charge of our facility is here, and we let them out, and we lock them up again. And so this has to do with rehabilitation. It has to do with the whole family being involved, and we won't look at it lightly. We'll take it under very serious consideration, just knowing that and this is not, you don't knock down a lot of offenders by doing this. There's probably 10 or 12 that get in a program, and you move from there to have successes. And so that's kind of the direction we're headed in. We want to consider this. We're putting the budget together, so when grants are applied for, we've got to be able to back it up with a budget item to support it. So hearing this, I know, Frank, y'all made a trip to Whitfield County, and they have one of the best ones in the state.
Yes, yes, we do.
And there'll be other field trips if any of us want to go along with that. But Judge Beavers has been very, very cautious about budgets, and he remembers back when 2009 started, we had to lay off 70 people, and we're just making a comeback. So he doesn't want to jump into this too quickly, but probably as soon as possible.
Yes, sir. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to come over and talk to you, let you know what's going on. We want to be extremely transparent with this. There are costs involved, and you all need to know what those costs are involved, and everybody needs to be on the same page for this to be a successful program. We want it to be, at the end of the day, again, when it's said and done, and you go to that graduation and see that offender graduate from the program, and it's about a 2-year program. It's a huge commitment on their behalf, and quite honestly, I have seen offenders who have taken the option of going to prison rather than completing one of these programs. They earn it. And it's something to see when they do graduate. So we are moving forward, but it was important for us to let you know where we're at. And again, any grants, we are wanting to take a look at those, but obviously we understand completely that we need to be on the same page with the commission and the chairman and the finance director when it comes to those grants.
Do y'all have any questions for Frank?
I was interested in the origination. What county, state, where did this all begin?
This concept has been going on quite some time. Ironically, and I don't know complete history about this, but I can tell you when I was probation chief in Cobb County, probably in the maybe 2005, 2006, I was invited to go down to all places of Thunderbolt, the city of Thunderbolt, Georgia. I mean, if you don't know where that's at, just right outside of Savannah. And they were experimenting back then with a drug out of their municipal board. And so that's the earliest I can remember, actually, and the date may be a little earlier than 2005, 2006. But this is a growing effort in the criminal justice system to help offenders and help families. Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely right when you said families, because it does impact the family. It's not just the offender. It's a total package, if you will. And I've been in the criminal justice business a long, long time, and these accountability boards are extremely successful.
Keep us updated as things move along, and let us know if there's availability to go on a field trip.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I had an exciting time this week to go to Chattanooga Tech and see a ribbon cutting ceremony. And what you're seeing there is and Jordan, I'll let you explain a little bit better, but that's a metal ribbon, and it's being cut with a welding torch. And so today I have Jordan Hunter, instructor with the new welding program at Chattanooga Tech. If you come to the lectern and let us know a little bit about your students and what you're doing. We have Missy Cusack, if you'll come be with him, and Angela Ferris, if you'll come stand with him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having us. We bring greetings from President Ron Newcomb. As you said, on Friday we had our welding ribbon cutting, and we decided to be a little creative with that. And although I've learned more about welding in the last week or so than I ever thought possible, Jordan is definitely the expert, so I'll let him talk about that. I did want to let you guys know that this spring our college's enrollment was 9,500 students, and right at 1,000 of those are Paulding residents, and so Paulding County residents. So we're very excited about that. We opened the doors for our welding program in January. We saw a need for that in our community. We believe strongly our college's mission is workforce development. So we are all about finding the opportunities for citizens to be trained and putting those folks to work. And we saw that opportunity here in Paulding, and glad to report that we had 100 opportunities, so 100 seats available in that program. That's not for 100 different students, but because some students need to take more than one class. But 89 of those seats were filled for our first time, so that is a really wonderful report on that. And we actually saw our enrollment in the Paulding program, or in the welding program, increase by 40% just by adding it to the Paulding campus. So I'll let Jordan tell you a little bit about the program.
Okay. And Jordan was excusing himself a little bit earlier, and he said, "Gosh, I've already taught a class and got dirty this morning." He said, well, God bless you. It's great having you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Jordan Hunter. I'm heading up the welding program here in Paulding. It's an honor. I was an adjunct for about 2 years. I've been an adjunct for about 1.5 years. I've been with the company for about 2 years now. They wanted to expand the Paulding area for the need in the industry, and I applied. I got the job, and I've been heading that up. It's been really exciting. A lot of things taking place. But a little bit about myself. I've been in the industry pretty much all my life. My father and my grandfather both were welders and mechanics, and so I kind of grew up in it. By the time I turned 18, I had a job at Eckerd's, going to school, and I realized that I needed something. So I took a job with my father at 18 and worked for him for about 8 years. Ended up subcontracting out with him and learned a lot in that time. After that, I've taken a couple of different welding jobs, so I have a lot of knowledge that I'm trying to apply, actual workforce knowledge that I'm trying to apply to the program. A little bit about the program. It's basically a year course. It's 50 credit hours to complete the diploma program. We also have some TCCs, some technical certificates that are built into that program. So if you graduate, you can end up with about 3 different documents from our college currently. We're working on a few more of them. But like I was saying, it's a 50 credit hour course. If you're a full-time student, you can basically do this in a year, three semesters. Now, if you can only take one class due to work, we have day and evening classes, but if you cannot take a full load, it kind of sets you back. But usually those students still graduate in about a year and a half. That's about it. I just want to say thank you all for having me.
It's exciting. He's got brand new state-of-the-art equipment, so it's an exciting program. Dr. Ron Newcomb was in another county today, but of the 8 campuses that Chattahoochee Tech has, they could have chosen to put this program on any one of those other campuses, and they chose Baldwin County. So I'm excited. We're working with CDL licensing as we open our new license bureau, so you get your driver's license here, and we're hoping to be able to pull that off over there. Y'all are doing something with the film industry, so that's exciting. And welding goes hand in hand with a lot of the stuff they build out there. But Dr. Newcomb was sharing with me the other day that a student comes straight out of their program and starting salary in the 47,000 range, and I met a fellow that was way over 125 grand. If you look at jobs that are available and that we don't have enough people to fill, welding is one of those, long distance drivers another, IT is another. I serve on the governor's Student Finance Commission, which is we set up and initiate the Hope Scholarship, and we made monies available for this welding program. So I don't have the numbers in my head, but the other day he was talking about with the Hope Scholarship how much it costs, but it's you may know a number that I don't know.
Yes, sir. I think what it ends up is being a little, right at $100 a semester out of pocket for a student.
If you
and that's if they qualify for the HOPE grant and for the Strategic Industries grant, which most of our students do qualify because no part of HOPE is based on income. So many of our students do qualify for that. And then it only ends up being about $100 out of pocket for if they're going full time for those semesters, which you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. So.
Well, you're coming out and you go straight into a job, and then you're not carrying any student finance debt. I think that's a magnificent program. Thank you all for being here. Would you like to say anything?
I'm just echoing everything that you said. We're excited.
Well, thank you all very much, and I am too.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of deviation from the program. I would like to talk about House Bill 170, and we talked about this weeks prior. We do have a little bit of change since the last time we met, very little. So if we'll cover that pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, this is kind of a big issue with our state. Our roads have been declining for probably the last 20 years, and they've come to the point where they're close to agreeing on a compromise. The Senate's version is a compromise that lessens the tax rate and increases accountability. And just briefly, the Senate has lowered the proposed tax rate to 24 cents per gallon. Today, we are collecting 19.3 cents for state purposes based on today's fuel and tax rate on excise and sales. That does not include the local. The proposed version from the Senate does not change anything with the local taxes. It's a lot easier to understand because you don't have the reduction of the loss from fuel income, and a lot of locals, governments were impacted by that. And this cleans that up quite a bit, makes it easier to understand, and it does not impact the locals. It also caps the local tax, though, at a base rate of $3.39 per gallon. So local government would not collect any benefit if gas were to exceed $3.39 and go back up to what it was a few years ago. So that's basically a 10 cents per gallon cap on the local tax rate. If you add the 24 cents proposed by Senate, that means fuel taxes could never go above 34 cents per gallon unless it was adjusted by a construction price increase. There are some other fees included in the Senate version, the $5 per day car rental rate add-on, and a impact fee of $200 per vehicle for private vehicles using electricity, natural gas, or propane as their only fuel. There is you know, it does raise substantially less money than what the state was looking for preservation. Their goal was about $1 billion per year. I think they're down to about $600 million per year based on this plan. And then there's another $250 in bond payments that would be pledged to go to GDOT each year, contingent on available funding. That's sort of a carrot for GDOT to plan with the legislature on the priorities. And there's a provision here that requires GDOT to annually submit a strategic plan and submit it to the legislature for approval. And GDOT already basically does that, but it goes through the state planning office for approval. So I don't think it's added work, but the Senate was very concerned that this money, by raising additional money, that they want to make sure that things are not being overlooked. And so they have some say-so in the actual plan for projects. That's about all I had. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I notice you made a promotion within your department. You want to bring Ronnie up and talk about that?
Oh, yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Ronnie, if you want to come.
Ronnie Morris is our longtime maintenance assistant superintendent. I think you've held that job now for, gosh, how many years? 10 years. And he was recently selected to take the place of Richard Huff, who retired just over a year ago. So he's already been doing the job for a year. We thought it was about time to make a decision, and we've done that, and we're pleased to promote him now.
Congratulations, Ronnie. Homegrown talent, so thank you very much.
Just one other thing, you know, if anything, you need to know anything about the roads in Paulding County, it's always ask Ronnie. He is our, you know, he has the knowledge of so many things in the county that's not written down, and then we go to him for many, many things. So we're glad to use him in this role.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bid awards, discuss action to award construction manager at risk contract to New South Construction for water operations facility on Macklin Road, Tabitha.
Good morning. On March the 4th, we received proposals for construction of water facilities out on Macklin Road. And this, as you know, will house our customer service as well as our meter readers, as well as our operations, our warehousing. And so it's quite a facility that we're going to construct out there. We had 4 participants in the process. We put a team together. That team was comprised of members from the department, 2 commissioners, purchasing, the designer, as well as some internal staff that we thought would add value to that process. After, when we going through the process, we evaluated each one of the proposals based on the stability of the firm, the relevant project experience, the quality management plan, as well as the fee. And we are recommending award of the construction manager at risk project to New South Construction. And a construction manager at risk, they will be tasked with creating a budget, creating the subs for construction of this work, and they will bring back to us a budget first and then a finished project.
We've used this process with Brown & Caldwell to build the reservoir, and that's worked out really well for us. This concept seems to be working.
Yes, well, it's been designed, so we have a design for the facilities, and what they'll do is take our needs, communication with staff, value engineer as much as possible to get the budget where we are comfortable, and then sub it out to and coordinate the construction of that facility to cost less, bring it in a reasonable amount of time so that we can begin operations there.
Any questions, Tab? Corey, I believe you have a guest here with New South if they'd like to speak to him after the meeting.
Yes.
Dave Butler with New South is here attending our meeting today. And I think he has had an opportunity to meet some, but not all of you, and he'll be here.
Our first exposure with New South was the Veterans Park, and it's surely a nice place, so looking for great things. Any other discussion? Number 2, discuss action to award the Department of Driver Services facility site work to the lowest responsible bidder, Lewis Contracting Services LLC, in the amount of $735,873.30.
Yes, sir. For sometime now, I guess close to a year, we've been discussing the state is going to put a driver services. The requirement of us is that we prepare the site for the state to build a facility. So this will prepare a site just northwest of the Watson Government Complex for a 7,350 square foot facility, and that the scope of this project will include site grading, paved, curb, gutter, sidewalk, storm sewer infrastructure, and contingent pond installation, as well as underground utility installations. And we are recommending award to the low bid in the amount of $735,873.30.
Any discussion? Okay.
Can you tell us who was on that?
Yeah, who the participants were?
Yes, please.
We have Lewis Contracting Services is the low bid. Prime Contracting was bid number 2, and J.H. Benefield and Sons. That bid was rejected because there were some errors in the map.
That was the only 3.
Those were the only 3.
Okay. Number 3, discuss action to award the Georgia State Patrol renovations project to the lowest responsible bidder, Headley Construction, in the amount of $500,340.
Yes, this is the renovations of the Bill Curry facility to house the GSP. This project includes the renovation and repair of an existing 256 square foot canopy, as well as the addition of a 3,360 square foot patrol car canopy, and some of the renovations within the building. And we are recommending award to the low bid as well, Headland Construction, in an amount of $500,340.
We have to renovate the bathrooms, we have to have dressing rooms, and convert some of the offices into sleep quarters. Colonel, you'd be happy to have that facility open, and it's something that Sheriff Gullidge was a part of since the first day we had these talks. With the State Patrol, unlike driver services, we had to build a site ready, and they build the building and supply the personnel. For the Georgia State Patrol, we had to get a building ready that's suitable to them, and then they staff it with all their people with equipment, cars, ammunition, guns, and everything that goes into a car and a facility. So the governor, along with the help of Representative Howard Maxwell and Charlie Watts, was able to bring that to us here in the county. So we could add, I think, as high as 10 folks to the force here in Paulding County. If I understand correctly, we have 2 people that come down out of Bartow or Carsville to service us. Part of this got started when there was I guess a disagreement with Harrison County, Polk County, in Cedartown about the facility they had and how they were going to work things out. And it just didn't seem to do well. And so we were fortunate to be able to bring that post here. So that'll put about 10 more public safety people on our road. So we're excited about where this can go and what can happen. Any discussion with Tabitha on this issue?
On 2 and 3, Tabitha, what are start dates? Do we have start dates?
I do not have an actual start date, but it should be as soon as this award is complete, we should be able to issue the contracts and get work progressing.
On the state patrol office on Bill Cruz, do we have a complete date? Have they given us any kind of a, because that's been a lot of discussion out there.
Right. Bruce is
Bruce, if
working
you
with
come
them
to
very
Lakeford.
closely, so I'm gonna let him give you that.
This today is what's called a notice of award, is where you award the contract. At that time, then the contracts will be prepared, and your contractor, he'll have to go get his bid bond, performance bond, insurance papers, it'll be 100%. Usually takes about a month, and then after that, at that time, then we issue the notice to proceed, and that'll be the official start date. The contract, the state patrol contract has about 60 days, but it does allow for rain and other events, issues that could arise. So our
Most of that work
anticipation
goes
is about
inside.
120 days, a month from now, it will be roughly the completion.
It's mostly inside work on that.
With the exception of they're getting a big awning to park about 6 cars under, but and some parking lot, yes. And we are entering the summertime, or spring, summer, so they can get some inside work done, and when it's dry, they can get the outside work.
So after a contract is let, you're talking about 60 days?
We'll have a notice to proceed in about a month.
Okay.
And at that point in time, that we will get with you and media, and we will do some pictures and groundbreaking.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
No reports from committees and departments. No one on public participation on agenda items. Consent agenda. We have one item under the consent agenda. Number 1, approve revision of the alcohol beverage license and permit fee schedule with an effective date of April 1, 2015. Leanne, you want to talk about this?
Basically, we do all the alcohol licensing for unincorporated Fulton County. With that is, when they get their license, they have to get fingerprinted. We currently send them to what's called GAP to get their fingerprints done, and then sent to the GDI. We have in turn purchased a live scan machine where it will automatically send to the GDI for us. And then plus what that does is it allows our applicant to stay at our location, do all their work together instead of going somewhere else and waiting for it to come back. With that, we raised our application fees to cover that cost of the machine and to send it out. And so probably about, they're paying $52.75 now when they go somewhere else. We upped our application fee by $50, and it allowed them to stay there, of course, for the convenience. And then probably about 3.5 years, we'll have the machine paid off.
Any other discussion on this? Would you like to move this item to regular session or keep it consent?
Consent.
Consent. Thank you very much. You can stay right there. No reports from committees and departments. No old business. Under new business, discuss action to approve the request for proposal to privatize the shelter portion of animal control. Counselor, I think you'll start with this, and then.
This is an item that was actually requested by Commissioner Carmichael, and what this is on here for is an idea that we would put out a request for proposals to privatize the animal control shelter. And this would be that request for proposals that would contain everything in it that we would need if we were going to privatize the animal shelter itself. So what we are asking you to do today is determine whether or not this is something that you're interested in, whether or not you want to go forward with asking for proposals for this. So we want you to take a look at this, read it, see what we're asking for within it itself. And so that's why we put this together. So this is really for you gentlemen to look at and determine whether or not privatizing the animal shelter is something that you're interested in doing. And if so, we would put this out for a request for proposals. We would get those back. They would come through finance, we would determine those in the same way that we would any other proposal request, and we determine at that point who it would be awarded to if we're going to do that. So at this point, this is just whether or not you're interested in putting that out as an option for a request for proposals. So that is what the purpose of this agenda item is today.
You know, it's kind of one of these things with animal control that it's a very emotional topic. You know, we've seen throughout the last couple of years how much people get up and talk about it. We have different groups that, you know, we're trying to deal with. We've got the group who, you know, thinks that everything should be euthanized and we should have be doing things a certain way in animal control. And then we have the other group that they don't share the same feelings about animals, and they don't want to see any money go to animal control. They'd rather see it go to other departments. And then, of course, we've got government, where you guys have to try to be the median between both of them. We know that animal control is not mandated, that you don't have to have it. And you could say tomorrow that we're not going to have animal control and save hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we know we have animals running everywhere, and who knows what rabies issues and everything else. So by allowing the shelter portion only to be privatized, it's allowing a 501c3 or an individual group to come in and basically do those things that they're passionate about, and that there is a large group of people that want, and that deals with a lot of the spay and neutering, keeping euthanization rates low, and that kind of thing. On the flip side, when you have government and then trying to figure out the median, and then the other group that doesn't necessarily want it, you know, they're looking at the money aspect of it. And over the last couple of years, you know, we've gone up and up with animal control. And for example, in 2012, our actual budget was $481,000, and in 2015, we're now at $730,000. So that's a big jump in difference in the money. But what we can do then, as far as to be that median, is be able to go in and contract out and have a set amount that we know will be going there, and it doesn't continue to go up every year. And then that group can do what they specialize in, and you know, they're able to have better connections with rescues than what we are, because that's what they do. Plus, they can get different grants that we necessarily can't do. So they can specialize in that, and then at the same token, we can help save on our end when it comes to government. One thing we would keep, though, is the actual enforcement end of it. By having the animal control officers out there, they would still do all the leash laws, writing the tickets, welfare checks, animal cruelty cases, that kind of thing. So any ordinances that the county's passed, the county will still be enforcing that. We would just contract on the portion of the shelter for them to handle.
Right, I was going to make sure you understood that distinction. This is only the shelter itself, so what you're thinking of is the officers that are going around and looking at things, that's not included in this proposal at all.
And that's roughly, with that personnel and the operational expenses, about $250,000 a year to keep that.
We're not mandated by law to have an animal shelter. We're not even mandated by law to run our libraries, but we do this because we feel like it's something that Paul County needs and we should do, but by mandate, we're not mandated.
Correct.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I've got a point of information. Right now, we have a contract with a veterinarian to help put down.
Well, they don't just put down. They do. She comes in and she does, like, if we have injured animals, we'll take them there in the middle of the night. When we do have euthanization day, she is the one that does that. My staff could do it, but I don't put that on them. That's a hard task to do week after week.
Now, would this change that? Do we still need that contract, or would this now be something they would pick up, the 501(c)(3)?
You know, it really depends on what comes out in the proposal and what's like agreed on, I think, between, and Lonnie and Tyler could probably help me out better with this, of what would be agreed upon. We would still need somewhere, if we picked up an animal, like in the middle of the night that was injured, to take it somewhere. So whether that agreement was done with a vet or with the new people coming in, we could do that. It just would depend on what we would agree on.
That might be something they would negotiate.
How many employees do we have out there?
We have 13 right now.
And animal control?
Yes, sir.
What would happen to them?
This would affect about 7 of them that are the shelter employees only, And then again, it's just gonna depend on what comes in on the proposal. If one group says, hey, I want to retain all your people for 2 years, or hey, I don't want to retain all your people, it would just depend on what proposals come in, and then what we all, y'all agree on as far as what route to take.
We don't necessarily have to do this. This is just giving us something to look at.
This is just an idea, hey, if we, prioritize a shelter, this is the route we can go. And I don't think, Tom did correct me, but does any of them have to be accepted if they're not liked? I mean,
No, you would be asking for evaluations. They would make a proposal to you to tell you what they recommend that they take on, what their cost would be, and what they would have to have from the county to be able to do that. It could involve personnel. It could not involve personnel. It could involve the vet. It could not involve the vet. I mean, that would be something that would be evaluated by the selection committee once those proposals were received. This is just an idea of whether or not you want to explore that possibility. It's not obligating us to anything.
Any other discussion?
My history of this actually goes back before I was commissioner the summer before, when different no-kill folks actually came out to my home and we began discussions on it, and they began educating me. And just like Major Holmes said, it's a very complicated topic, and I know Commissioner Pownell has also talked to a lot of the same people. And Commissioner Crowe and I talked with Major Holmes a couple of weeks ago to see what questions he might have. It's just a request. You may not have one single response to an RFP, but I think I've seen in government that there are a lot of areas like ambulances, waste disposal, where the private sector, in my opinion, does a better job at it than the government is able to do. Maybe it is just because they're more passionate about animals in this particular case. Last year, the Board of Commissioners did pass a $123,000 increase in the animal control budget in order to give a voucher to people that were adopting animals so that they would actually have the spay-neuter paid, because there was a lot of abuse in that Major Holmes witnessed every day, because people would adopt an animal and say they would do something and then they wouldn't do it. So we still had the unspayed animals out there. So, we have made a lot of improvements. Before I came on, the Board of Commissioners made a lot of improvements from that being a humane society out there. So a lot of Paulding County employees have made things better. So this is just an idea. We'll see how it goes.
None of this works without our volunteers that work both ways.
Yeah, right now we have some people that really come in there and help out with the rescues. And you can look at our numbers over the last couple of years, have tremendously dropped our euthanization rate, and it's because of a lot of what they're doing. And those are the type of groups that we would try to go for the shelter, because they're good at it. And my folks are very good at it too. We just, when you're government, we don't have a humane society here in Paulding like a lot of the other counties have, so it puts it all on them, and it's a hard division between humane society and government about animal control.
I think it's something to look at. It's been a topic for quite a few years here. I definitely think it's something to look at to see what kind of proposals we get and kind of go from there. And I'd, of course, like to have the time to hear from the public. I think it's always good to hear from them before we react and do something instead of after we've done it.
Yeah, and that can definitely, if you agree that we can go and look at it, we can get the RFPs in, and then, everybody can look at them and see if it's even anything you want to go with, and we don't have to go that way.
Yeah, we might get everything back.
And say we don't like it, yeah.
Heck with this.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Put a lot of hard work into it.
Thank you for your time. And Mr. Carmichael, thank you for your time.
Number 2, discuss action to authorize the sheriff to participate in the TASER assurance plan offered by TASER International. Major Hutton is back here with us also.
We do. And he is available for specifics. I don't want to discuss the logistics of TASER, and I sure don't experience any of that.
I'll let you try.
I'll let him discuss it, because I understand they have to do that. Taser International has proposed a plan. What's happened in the past, we've purchased tasers, and we don't have an insurance or a warranty with those tasers, and they cost about $1,200 a piece when we purchase them. When they go out, when it malfunctions, we basically put that one down and purchase another one. And Taser International has seen the need and the possibility for them to be able to assist us in that, in allowing us to purchase what's within an assurance program. So what this assurance program would do is it would allow us to purchase 159 tasers, and we would opt in 51 of our existing tasers in year one. So that would be in this year. And
At a cost of?
well, at a cost, it was originally proposed one. Carl Hutton has worked with Taser to bring that number down just a little bit. So since I sent you your information, they've reduced it by about $3,000. So it's year one is $188,851. And then you pay an amount in year two. This is a 5-year program. And year three, in year two, you pay $40,017. Year three, you pay $40,017. And those numbers are evened out now in his new proposal, but I don't guess I brought those numbers with me. In year three, we would replace 17. And in year four, we would replace 34. And the way that's determined is a taser has about a 5-year life. So the 51 that are opting in will be the first one that we would replace in year 3 and year 4. And then in year 5, we would pay an amount and we would replace actually 164. We're purchasing 159 and they're giving us 5. And then they've also, in Carl Hutton's negotiations, they've also opted to give us some cartridges in addition to that, an additional cartridge for each taser in addition to that. At the end of the time, you would actually replace all of those tasers. So you purchase a total of about 374 tasers over the 5-year plan. If one breaks, they do help you with they give you a new one, basically. And I'll let him explain me more. He's worked with the negotiations directly with Taser International.
One of the questions I had, this is exclusive deal with Taser. And I'm sure there's other manufacturers that's state price for those type of things, but you get what you pay for. There's qualities of guns, there's qualities of tasers, and if you might address that with us, that's why we're singling out Taser International.
Yes, sir. And they're in Taser's proposal. They did submit some paperwork that Ms. Tabitha asked. Okay. She passed it on to y'all. As far as being a sole proprietor, there are some other companies out there. The problem that I have with the other companies is they haven't been in existence as long as Taser has. They don't have the background that Taser has and the technology. One of the particular companies that's trying to compete with them, their particular electronic weapon system that they're producing and trying to sell now to law enforcement it looks like Taser's original first weapon that they came out with. So they're basically starting at the ground level and working their way up. The other issue that we've run into, and the reason I'm asking, obviously I asked the sheriff permission before we did any of this, but we're asking y'all to award this to us, is the tasers that we currently have, because of the years of service that we're in, and also because technology has changed. Taser is not producing that particular model anymore, so they've become obsolete. They're of no value to us, nor Taser. Taser used to have a buyback program. They don't even do it anymore because they can't even use the components because the technology has changed. Our initial plan is we're hoping that this will actually last longer than 5 years for the county due to the fact that the tasers that we have in service right now, we have some internal plans on utilizing those tasers in other areas, and we'll use the life of those before we actually transition to the new system. And hopefully in the long run, saving the county money. I think based on the proposal, it was the savings that we potentially could have with this program was around $70,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you take the price of what we normally pay for a taser and
Yes.
All of the tasers we're going to purchase, it's about a little over $100, almost $200 difference in each taser.
So over a 5-year period, it's a $70,000 savings if we
Yes,
go
sir.
with this program.
Yes, sir.
Versus the standard way.
Versus the way we've been doing it.
Right.
And currently, we had it, as far as like she's talking about the assurance part of this, which is the insurance on the taser. Majority of the time, we do have a few weapons that we did buy insurance on, but the cost was so high, and we needed the devices to be able to put them on the street, so to speak. We opted not to buy the insurance on them, so that because we could buy another taser with the insurance money. So we were able to put them out. The newest model, I'll tell you this too, the newest model that they put out, which is the Taser X 26P. It's basically weatherproof. It's got some drop resistance to it and things like that we've experienced in the past as well. So the product is pretty good. We have 51 of them that are in operation right now, and we've had no issues with them so far.
If I understand correctly, in order to carry a taser weapon, you have to be tasered.
Yes, sir. At Paulding County Sheriff's Office, you do have to, so to speak, ride the lightning before you can carry it.
And if I understand correctly, the sheriff displayed this, and what he didn't tell his deputies is he removed, give me the right term here, the prong. Or
actually, I did that, sir.
So you know, when it happens, they're on the ground shaking, and it's quite an experience. But when they did it, they took the probe out, and it looked like they just manned up, and it didn't affect them at all. But in fact, you had the probe out of it. So
yes, sir.
But in order to carry a weapon, you have to be.
Yes, sir. And the reason that we do that is we want the deputies and we want the detention officers to understand and know what this weapon system is capable of and what it does to the person that is incapacitated for the time being.
We don't know how many times that we use that instead of another weapon that would cause a
from practice.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, and I don't necessarily I don't have any hard numbers, but we have on our duty gear, we have pepper spray and we have asbatons, which is basically our metal baton for striking. And the taser, I don't want to say that it's made those obsolete, but and a lot of times that's a choice that they'll pick first versus the pepper spray or the asbaton. With the taser, it prevents potential injury to a suspect when we're dealing with it, and also to the officers as well.
Any questions?
And that's going to be paid for with public safety splosh.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm asking. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, you did a great job.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's the conclusion of our regular business session. We do need to go into executive session for real estate and potential litigation. We do have some folks that wishing to speak on non-agenda items. Do you want to go into closed session first, or do you want to?
I think the closed session may take a little while. Let's go ahead and rearrange the agenda here and let the public participation go first. Okay.
We'll go ahead and instead of making a motion, we'll go ahead and
Do you want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we
change the
agenda and let the public participation go first.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. First we have Ms. Kirsten Liberty, agribusiness. I think we've been asked by, go ahead, Councilor, not to exceed the 5 minutes, that you're getting more and more people wishing to speak and longer time. So when you gives you the numbers, 5 minutes.
In addition to being a pilot, in 1966, my father created the first traveling irrigation system of its kind to help secure farmlands in Illinois during times of drought from his company, KIPCO, Cruz Irrigation and Fertilizer Company. After he retired in 2001, his company has continued to prosper, focusing on sports fields, graveyards, horse farms, and small-time agribusiness such as strawberry farms and smaller orchards, which brings me to what I want to discuss today. Recently, our state ag commissioner spoke to the Paulding County Chamber of Commerce and was quoted in the neighbor newspaper as saying the following: "Many residents likely choose to remain or move to Paulding because of its rural heritage." According to the neighbor, Gary Black also said during his address to the Paulding Chamber of Commerce that agriculture can play a role in the county's future development, even if the mostly suburban area is seeking other ways to develop its economy in coming decades. I find it interesting that someone as in the know as the state agriculture commissioner would encourage agriculture here in Paulding County. He was also quoted as saying, "You, as a chamber and county leadership, can play an important role in keeping agriculture as part of a mainstream strategy for economic development in your community." He said, "I don't know how to do that in your community, but with the leadership in this room, you can do it." I believe he's encouraging our leadership to look progressively at alternative ways for bringing in an income, and this way happens to be quite profitable and much less controversial than, say, a commercial airport. Many large metropolitan areas are now looking into supporting agricultural communities to support their food needs due to the large population demanding organic and naturally grown fruits, vegetables, and livestock. After all, our food has to come from somewhere, and most people feel most comfortable with knowing their food came from right next door rather than a foreign country such as China. What better way to provide an income for Paulding than to be able to provide the needs of eateries in Atlanta? Folks pay big bucks for the organic label and locally grown at that. Another quote from the Paulding neighbor, Black said he often reminds residents of formerly rural areas like Paulding that agriculture is not something we do simply because we can't do anything else. The state is geographically positioned to have a thriving farming industry because of such benefits as 265 days without frost annually and an underground aquifer system which continuously is refilled and used to water crops, he said. So what thoughts would I have on encouraging farmers and farms to come here? Put land back to agricultural use. Offer incentives such as exemptions and tax breaks to farmers willing to produce enough to sell in the local and not so local economy. In the short run, that may pull off our tax base, but ultimately it's a wonderful opportunity to provide an income to the citizens and the county as a whole. We have to eat and might as well support the locals. A quick Google search for agritourism in Georgia produced many, many hits. You can find everything from U-Pick farms to farm shares to working agricultural-based businesses providing thousands of school children the opportunity to learn about the history of farming in Georgia and the future of agriculture in the state. It's big business and well worth the time to research how we could profit from this farming stuff right here in the backyard. One great thing I've seen recently is watching the Great Pet Chicken movement to help encourage local families to have their own chickens that produce fresh, healthy eggs. Where on earth do people think eggs come from, and how can they possibly think that commercial chicken houses are the healthiest way to get eggs? Another Google search will help you see how those work. I've also noted the relocation of one of the farmers markets to Paulding County High, which is another great partnership at work. What about putting some unused properties into community gardens? What if you could offer some sort of incentives to people to put a certain percentage of property into agricultural use? Maybe a local farmer coalition, or maybe a like-minded group of citizens could provide plans for Paulding to be a clean, proud hometown place to live and work. Thinking progressively into what other successful counties have come up with that does not include heavy industry, commercial flights, and water pollution may just be the ticket to a happy community. I want to be proud of my community and of my county, proud of how forward-thinking the elected officials are. Let's move forward, not backward, boys. Special thanks to the Paulding neighbor for producing a high-quality, quotable article, and thanks for your time today.
Dan?
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for allowing me to come speak with you today and tell you about a couple of issues of concern with me. It's about the privacy and background checks and the intrusion of the airport commercialization opponents have been experiencing. The recent knowledge of the county-run background checks on Paulding residents has brought attention to this issue, and although the citizens still don't know who the background checks were done on, many things are pointing towards airport opponents due to the timing of when the background checks were purchased. I hope, for everyone's sake, this is not the case, and it will definitely add insult to injury to those who've already been victimized. However, regardless of who they were run on, I can't understand why any random background checks were done on residents by a county or employee or elected official at all. If Mr. Jones felt the need to run a background check on a man he said tried to extort him, I expect him to do it on his own time and with his own credit card. And I have to ask, why was this information not turned over to the proper officials for investigation in the first place? I have full confidence in our law enforcement's ability here in Paulding County. Therefore, I have nothing to do but question the motive of Mr. Jones. To have gone beyond that by doing 17 background checks on various residents within the use of the county credit card is very questionable and suspicious, and it only made worse by you, Mr. Austin, who defended him. Blatant favoritism only emboldens those who wish to get away with the actions, such as Mr. Jones. And the excuse I saw you give on television, Mr. Austin, was not very convincing. Now the records have gone missing and Mr. Jones won't be a cooperative. I certainly hope that you were not a party to this. I really do. It's an appropriate activity, and I hope that you will cooperate in obtaining the background check so this county can learn the truth and matters to be dealt with in a way that is fair and just to the citizens. And fairness, that brings me to my next point. Since when is it a crime to object to government officials, something a government officials are doing? As a United States citizen, we have the constitutional right to speak against you. The airport opponents have done nothing illegal by voicing their opinions by not wanting a commercial airport here in Paulding County. However, some have lost sight of that and have targeted us in very inappropriate and offensive ways. Not only have many of us been violated by county officials and employees in the past, this list-making, name-calling, and accusations of theft, but there are some residents, airport supporters who have stooped to the list-making of the anti-commercialization of it. Sensitive personal information belonging to the airport opponents, including my own, were made public by a member appointed to the Airport Authority Steering Committee. This is unacceptable in every way, and I don't think that you would appoint this person had you known what they had done to me. I certainly hope that you wouldn't want an extortionist on your airport steering committee. Behavior like this makes some people feel like second-rate citizens. Doesn't intimidate me. But those are appointed to represent citizens on unelected commissions and committees and boards. It is the citizens that you should be protecting wherever we guarantee, whether we agree with you or not. It's no surprise others will follow suit. It's unacceptable, no matter whom engages in this contract, and we would like it for it to stop now. And like I said, Mr. Austin, I hope that you and this board will do all you can to get to the bottom of the background scandal, both for ethical and legal reasons, particularly since inquiries are official record, public record. I, along with every other Paulding resident, expect our government transparency regardless of where we stand on the commercialization of our airport. And I'd like to say that some people say that our community is torn apart. I'd like to say, by everyone showing up here today, we all have something in common. We're here as citizens and we're engaging our government. And that's what Americans do. Whether we get along or not, we have the right to do that. But we don't need people nosing in our private business and publishing, or holding it and holding it over our heads as threats. Thank you.
Bruce Bauer.
Good morning.
Morning.
I saw the investigative news report on Fox 5 News, which recently aired regarding the background checks that our former county administrator ran on multiple residents. This is of grave concern to me. and I would like to know if a background check has been run on me. I have learned through social media that there is also a list and a map of anti-airport residents, which includes their addresses and proximity of to the airport, that was handed out last year by government officials. A list, I was told, contains my name and information, along with 9 other airport opponents. This knowledge gives me added concern that a background check may have been run on me, and if so, I want to know why. Many residents are interested in finding out if background checks have been performed on them, including the Paulding plaintiffs, who are also on the list. We understand that measures have been taken to acquire information about the background checks, so we would appreciate an answer as to whom they've been run on as soon as possible. Commissioners, I'm appalled at the arrogance of the former county administrator, who not only did background checks on citizens, but who used a county credit card as his own to purchase them with, which takes running background checks to a whole different level. We have not only been unjustly victimized by a government employee performing unnecessary background checks, but we've been handed the bill to pay for them, neither of which is acceptable. In addition to the background checks being an issue of inappropriate activity targeted against the citizens, it also causes many residents to feel insecure, especially those who oppose the airport. We constantly hear talk about how the airport proponents feel threatened by us. I personally asked Blake Swafford before an airport authority meeting last year why the meetings were moved to the Board Commissioner meeting room. He said because of security reasons. Clearly, the airport proponents are not the only ones who have security concerns. Regardless, I, along with other tax-paying residents, believe that since the IGA has drawn a distinct line between the airport authority and the county, the airport authority meetings should be held at the airport and not at the county administration building, since holding their meetings here only adds more expense to the taxpayers' tab. So, on behalf of myself and many other Paulding residents, I request that airport authority meetings no longer be held here for the sake of our tax dollars, but mostly so that the community is not alienated from the airport. Thank you.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, I come to you before you today as a Paulding County citizen. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. I've lived in Paulding County for nearly 32 years. When I moved here, there were less people in the entire county than we have in our school system today. Some of the best people I have ever known call Paulding County home, as I do. Over the past months, I've watched our Board of Commissioners do things I don't quite understand. One of the most perplexing, what is the intergovernmental agreement between the Board of Commissioners and the Paulding County Airport Authority? In September, this agreement was pushed through with little discussion, and a few months later it had to be amended. At the last Board of Commissioner meetings, there was an uproar right in this room regarding the safety and security of the air show. The air show is something I believe most Paulding citizens can get behind. Yet it became a catalyst for more division of our residents and non-residents alike, all because of the IGA. We can learn from experiences, both good and bad. I think there were mistakes made in the haste to get that IGA passed. But even so, I believe we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. It's past time to put all this behind us and move forward as a community. Back to the Paulding County I know and love, a community that works together for the betterment of all. We rely on our elected officials to give us the best quality of life possible. That's why we elected every single one of you. I think an issue arises when citizens lose their voices by turning over valuable assets to unelected authorities that have the power to issue bonds that in turn may cause taxes to increase. We have no voice and no representation with those authorities. Let's try not to do this again. Let's use this experience to better our community. If you decide not to do away with the IGA, which of course is my first choice, perhaps there are some additional modifications or amendments this BOC can suggest to make what happened at the last meeting never happen again. I want Paulding County to flourish, taking pride in ourselves and our community as we have in the past by working together. Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like to just make a couple comments. Ms. Byram, I appreciate your comments, and I agree as far as the meetings are concerned. That may be something that maybe this board will look at, the airport authority board look at, because I feel like if we're going to have airport meetings, we might need to get them back out at the airport. Our citizens have not been out there, and I think that gives us a chance to be there to see what's going on. Ms. Helms, the intergovernmental agreement has come up several times. Ms. Byram also brought that up, and in the meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago was a very frustrating meeting for a lot of us here in this room, and myself. And it took up a lot of our time that I think was unnecessary. And with that being said, Ms. Helms, I agree with you. The intergovernmental agreement was done then. I don't like it. I didn't agree with it, and I voted against it. But with that being said, I've actually been thinking here over the last few weeks since the last meeting that we had, and I'm going to look at maybe there's some things we can bring and change that intergovernmental agreement to kind of help us out as far as both parties, the airport authority, the board of commissioners, the citizens. I've just seen some things with the intergovernmental agreement naturally that I didn't agree with to begin with, but there's been so many things that have come up since then, such as the meetings, such as the air show and different things. And maybe there's some things we can do to amend that intergovernmental agreement. And so I'm going to work on that over the next few weeks, and maybe I can bring something back to this board, the first meeting in April or the second meeting in April, that we can look at and talk about and go from there. I think there are some things that we need to look at, and we need to make some adjustments on that. And then the last thing, and I brought this up last, in case anybody else wanted to say anything about it, was I'm not going to discuss the background checks a whole lot, other than the fact that some of us have been working on that. I agree, the credit card shouldn't have been used. But we have been working on it, and I say that because of this. We got a lot of open records. We sent out the information. I appreciate so much what Rebecca and Ms. Lonnie Skipper here has done to take care of those open records. I know they both worked very hard and tirelessly. Tabitha, so thank you for your efforts in that. All the employees that participated to get those open records out. But I know Mr. Collette and I have done some work on it, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it and get to a time of healing to move forward and get some answers, because I think there's a lot of people that think maybe their names are out there, and maybe they are, and then I think people need to know. The citizens deserve to know. So I just want you to know that I myself am not ignoring that. I think it's something that we need to address. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say.
Well, I'm the Harville County Commission Chairman. I'm the worst guy up here among all five of us. But I can tell you, when you sit here at this table, and the staff back in the back of the room, and the 700 people that work with me, if somebody extorts money from you, and they send you threatening information about your family, and you have to move out of your home, and you help with the investigation, I'm going to back you 100%. Now, I don't have the names of the people, but I can guarantee you, if I had them, I would not share them, because it's an ongoing investigation. It's a criminal court case. You've all been to see Dick Donovan. You all know what Dick told you. And I said, Dick, do you want me to say anything else other than what I've said? Is I will not make that available. There is a case in court. The gentleman was captured. He bonded out of jail, and the background checks that Mike Jones ran against people, I have no idea who they are. But I can tell you that if I did know, Until this case is over, I would not share them because it would hurt the case. So all 700 people that work for Baldwin County, you know I've got your back, and you know that I would not share that information, especially when the district attorney tells me not to. And I said, Dick, I don't even have that information, but I'm accused of knowing. He said, it doesn't matter. There's a case, a felony case in court coming up in April. So I'm going to tell you again, I have no idea who the people were that were investigating. But if you had to be like me and have your home invaded and things stolen from you, I don't have one lead unless I got in and did it myself. These gentlemen don't have time to work a break-in and those type of things. And Mike did a lot of his own investigation and turned over evidence to them that they caught the guy. So, you know, that's all we're going to say about this until this court case comes up with Dick Donovan. And other than to say, for all of those that work with me and for me, I've got your back. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session.
And we're going to executive session for real estate and potential litigation. There's a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. In closed session, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.